Hi everybody, and welcome to the Web Marketing Watch Show. Today I have a very interesting opportunity. I have a couple years ago I did a video where I was responding to a presentation I saw of Jeffrey Hayzlett, the CMO of Kodak. He was doing this keynote at an event that I was at. And, you know, he's an outstanding speaker and that type of thing. But I had a couple differing views of what I thought maybe should happen potentially at Kodak. And so I did this video, and it just so happens that a couple weeks ago I was at the Search Engine Strategy Show in Chicago, and I ran into Jeffrey, and he came up to me, and he was very, very kind and outgoing. And he gave me the opportunity of having a rebuttal video. And he said, yeah, sure, Sage, let's do that. Let's have a conversation where we talk about what you said and what I said, and we can go from there. So without further ado, I bring you Mr. Jeffrey Hayzlett. How's it going, Jeff?
Absolutely wonderful. Thanks for having me. I want one of those cool drum rolls and the music for me as well. That was a pretty good intro. And in fact, I appreciate you having me on, because not a lot of folks would do that, and I was really going after you, quite frankly. You're being so nice, but you know, you went on a video, you really took it to me, which was okay. I have no problem with that. Although I think you missed the whole theme of the speech. That speech that night was about the power of printing, and of course you were talking about the web, and it gives us a great time to be able to talk about that and really give some different views. I think you'll find our views are pretty close to the same. But just that night, I happened to be talking about printing as opposed to the stuff that we were doing with the internet.
Yeah, and that is probably where the miscommunication happened. That I thought that perhaps, you know, this was the sole position that you had, and obviously that's not the case. So
no, I do talk about printing. I mean, in my book, The Mirror Test, which you know about, it's been a bestseller. I mean, I have a chapter in the book about printing, but I also have a chapter about other social media and other things that are going on in the world, because I'm a real believer. I'm one of the top 10 C-level executives in the world of Twitter. I believe in social media, but at the same time, I talk about blended campaigns across the board. Not just one type of campaign, because I don't think you can just have one kind of campaign anymore.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So what do you think now? Do you believe that print is still the primary leader of marketing these days, or do you feel that there is an evolution that digital is starting to take the lead now? What's your thought on that?
I don't think it's been an evolution. I think it's been a revolution, without question, and in such a short period of time. If you look over the history of all marketing, print's made a dominant area for a long time, but really, you know, I was at a conference stage here recently down in Mexico, and someone got up and spoke, and they were talking about traditional marketing. And finally, I figured out she was talking about display advertising, and she was referring to that as being, you know, traditional marketing. And I knew then, certainly the world has changed when we start referring to display advertising as traditional marketing, where I would have probably put that, you know, more on the newer side. But I think that without a question, digital is where it's at. Digital is where it's going to be for a long time. That doesn't mean that print or some of the more traditional, modes of whether it be billboards or broadcast or radio or whatever it might be, I think those are still valid tools in the arsenal without question. But digital's certainly been a big part of the growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And so how do you feel now with Kodak and how that is all playing a part of that? Do you feel that they really understand that and they're moving in that direction quite fluidly?
Well, I don't think they're going as fast as I would still like them to be going, and even when I was there, they weren't moving as fast as I would like to see us going. But the business has certainly made its transition to digital, both with digital products and in its marketing. It still goes back and wants to snap back into the old way of doing things from time to time, because I just like our bodies, when we're training our bodies to do different things, we snap back to the old way of doing things, or snap into our old shapes or sizes or those kind of things when we go off our diets or whatever it might be. But I think companies do the same thing. But I mean, in the results, I mean, they just announced some record results the other day, and so they seem to be doing really well. I'm out of the company for the last 5 months, but they seem to be doing very well.
Yeah. And on September 29th, they named Pradeep Jatwani their new CMO from HP, which is interesting, right?
Well, I think everybody, I was like one of the only 8 non-HPers there. They finally reached down into the old HP Alumni Association and brought out somebody they'd worked with for a long time, at least some of the former leadership being Antonio Perez and Phil Ferrasi, the Chief Operating Officer, so I know they trust Pradeep. I've had the opportunity to meet Pradeep on a couple of different occasions, and we've exchanged communication since he's been on board. And in fact, I even sent him a bouquet of yellow and red flowers after he was selected, just to remind him of the colors of Kodak. Not that he's going to need to know them, but I'm real happy to see him leading the group.
Yeah, yeah. Well, without a doubt, you've been tried and true to Kodak from the beginning. And now it's very interesting to watch your career evolve. You know, I'm on your Twitter page right now, and you have, over 28,000 followers, and that puts you at the top of the list of CMOs on Twitter. You're very engaged in that. Do you tweet all yourself? No,
I tweet myself. I mean, my staff, from time to time, I might call somebody and say, hey, I don't have time. Can you tweet this? And then I say, just type this in for me. I do some of that, and then, but yeah, by and large, I mean, they're very authentic. I believe in being radically transparent. So you see me doing it, and I talk to my team about how we get it done, and they help me from time to time. Just like I might dictate an email or dictate a letter. Sometimes I'm just flying at the speed of light.
Yeah.
We say Mach 1 right now, so they help me out a little bit.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah.
But yeah, I come up with this stuff all the time. I think. I saw a video that came across from a public relations student who said I was the best thing since sliced bread, so I tweeted out that I thought the education system's in good hands, and that was one of the smartest kids I've ever seen in my life,
That's right. And I've got to say, when I see you speaking and you look at the real-time results on Google, everybody raves about you. You're a hit, and if a person has an opportunity to see you speak, they certainly should. Well,
I appreciate you. You just try to be who you are. I'm from South Dakota.
Yeah.
That's just what we do. If you ask me my opinion, I'm liable to tell you. Just like when Sage, I didn't like the way you did the video. I went out, I called you, and when I saw you and said, "Hey, let's do something different, man. This isn't." I didn't think you were trying to go after me, nor did I think you were trying to be negative. But I wanted to make sure that we got the facts out, and we got a good twist on things, and that's just the way I am. Everybody's entitled to do what they want, and that's what makes this country so great.
Yeah, yeah. The internet is a very unique, interesting model that a guy like me can say something, and then you see it, and that's an interesting power, because you're at the leader, you're leading this industry, and that sort of thing, and so. There is this unique shift, and it meant a lot to me that you went up to me and shook my hand, and it just goes to show you talk about your 3 or 4 E's, I believe here. I have a slide of that. The engage, educate,
engagement, education, excite, evangelize, and it's just about getting engaged with people. You might not like what they do, you might not like what they say, but at least engage with them. And I've been known to be very critical sometimes of people, or being real, which I might say something like "bite me," or someone will write, "Why don't you be more of a thought leader in 100?" And I said, "No, you can't. How can you be a thought leader in 140 characters?" Or someone would sometimes they would write to me and say, "I would like you to talk more about this," and I would say something like, "I don't work for you, so I'm not writing about those things." And or even when I'm back in South Dakota, I remember I was back in South Dakota on my farm, and I was helping busting up a beaver dam that we had, and I had some animal activists come after me and said they didn't like it, and I said, "Well, give me your address so I can deliver some of those beavers and some of those prairie dogs out to your house and see how you like it."
Yep. Well, if nothing else, you are transparent and real and genuine, and I think we need more of that in the corporate world. Do you think more CMOs, more CEOs should be Twittering?
Oh, I think you should always be listening to your customers and in conversations, and whether you choose to do that through Twitter, it's right for some people, or whether you pick up the phone, or whether you go out and see them in person, or you work on the retail floor, or go see customers at trade shows. I think that's what they should be doing. But do what's comfortable to you, You certainly, if you're not going to be doing it, then you should have somebody doing it, because you need to go. You know, Sam Kinison said, starving people in the desert, he said, you know, move to where the food is. The food doesn't grow in the desert. Only sand is in the desert. And so if you have people on Twitter, you have people on Facebook, go to where the food is.
Yeah, excellent. All right, Jeff, thanks so much for the time. Thanks for participating. I appreciate it. You're a real down-to-earth, real genuine guy. I appreciate it.
Hey, my friend, thank you, and I'll be looking forward to seeing you in Akron very soon. I'm coming back up that way.
I know you are. I'll be sure to be there. I'll be in the front row.
All right, my friend. Thank you so much.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much. Thank you, Jeffrey Hayzlett, and happy marketing.